Hello and welcome to this video on building a simple extension from scratch. I will show you how you can set up an extension that will automatically update a date range printer to a lower bound of 1 year ago and an upper bound of right now. Curious to see what it looks like in action? I have you covered. Let's jump to Tableau Online. I already have my visualization ready, my dashboard ready, I have my sales over time, and on the right side, I have my date range printer from data from 2018 to 2021. I want to update this date range printer. Let me drag and drop the extension that we are going to build together. I have it on my desktop. Ta-da! Did you see? I updated the data and the date range filter. We have now data from 2018 to 2019. Perfect. Now, I'll let you imagine how useful this extension can be if you have a date range printer and your data are refreshing every day. This extension is going to update your date range printer and your dashboard is going to show the last updated data automatically. So now, I'm sure you are all excited to build this extension together. So let me jump back to my presentation. I'm Geraldine Zanoli. Everyone is calling me Gigi, and I'm a developer platform evangelist. What are you going to learn during this video? You are going to learn a lot of new skills, but you're going to learn how to create a simple extension. I'm also going to explain how you can test and debug your extension. In addition, as you can get started with Extension API, I'm going to show you where to find our documentation. Last but not least, I'm going to show you how to save list your extension on Tableau server or online. But what do you need to follow along this video? First, you need an extension-enabled version of Tableau. You can get access to a Developer Sandbox Site for free by signing up for the developer program linked in the description. You can also develop extension using Tableau Dashboard version 2018, Print 2, and higher. I will be using a free Developer Sandbox in this video. You also need a Chromium-based web browser for debugging. I'm going to use Chrome in this video. You also need to download our demo dataset. You can download it through the link in the description. On this video, I'm not going to spend time to host the extension or to pick your text editor. If you want to set up a local extension, you will need a web server to host the extension. I also recommend following the link in the description to learn more about how to set up a local extension. Today, we are going to use Glitch that is taking care of the hosting for us. The first thing is to create a copy of the starter project by remixing it. So you just need to click on the link in the description and it's going to do a copy automatically. Once you have done that, you need to sign in just to be sure that your work is saved during this video. So here on the right, you have a sign in button. Click on it. I'm going to sign in with Git, but you feel free to use any of the other options. It's just the easiest one for me right now. Once you have done that, you need the URL of your project. For that, you can click on Show Live on the top left and in New Window. And now you have the URL of your extension. It should be something really similar to what you can see on the screen, the name of your project, .glitch.me. So let's copy this URL, go back to Glitch editing mode, and now let's edit the T-Rex file manifest file to be sure that it's printing to the right project. So select my awesome extension .trex, and here you can copy paste the URL. Just where it's written URL here, you're going to paste the URL. Paste. Perfect. Once you have done that, you need to download the T-Rex file. So let's go back to the project URL and add my awesome extension .txt. Be sure that you are aware of the uppercase because it's case sensitive here. And press enter. Perfect. I have my extension saved locally, my T-Rex file. So now I can try it on Tableau Online. So let's go to Tableau Online. So that's the home page when you open and log in to your Tableau Online developer site. So first, before using extension, we need to authorize our extension on Tableau Online, on our site. So for that, click on Settings, the last on the left, last option. So click on it, and you have 4 tabs. Be sure to select the extensions one. And here you can see that I already have 2 extensions saved listed. So one is for the demo, another one is another extension running on my site. So I want to authorize the extension that we are doing together. So I add URL, going to paste the URL of my project. Here I know already that my extension is not going to ask for full data access. So I keep it as default, deny. And do I want my user to be prompted every time they go to the dashboard, just for them to be sure that they know that an extension is running on the dashboard and that they can authorize the extension to run. So I'm going to keep it, save. Now I authorize this extension, the extension that we are doing together, to run on my site. So I can go back home, on home, and I can create a workbook. So create a workbook, upload from the computer. I need to connect to my data, and I'm going to connect to my Excel spreadsheet. Upload from my data, install in the download folder. I downloaded before. So here, sample EU Superstore, open. And I have the 3 tabs of my Excel. So I want to analyze orders. So I'm going to drag and drop orders there in the middle. Once you have done that, now you are connected to the sample EU Superstore orders. You can click on order 1, on sheet 1 to build the first worksheet. Let's drag and drop cells onto rows and date into columns. So I have my cells over time. Now I want to have the month, not the year. So I'm going to click on the pill itself, on the blue pill, year date, and I'm going to select month as a continuous value. Perfect. Now we need our date range filter. So I'm going to drag and drop date, but this time into filters. Now on the right, I have my date range filter. Perfect. Now let's rename this worksheet. So double click on sheet 1 and let's call it trends. So the naming here is really important. You will see why when we start creating the extension, but let's keep it simple and let's all call it trends. Perfect. Now click on the second button in the middle to create the dashboard. Now you have a dashboard. You can drag and drop our worksheet. So you can see on the left you have trends. On the sides, I'm going to drag and drop trend into my dashboard. I have my filter, I have my data, perfect. Now let's drag and drop our extension. So you see on the right, you have a new object called extension. So it's what you need to drag and drop into your work dashboard. Then you have this pop-up, choose an extension, my extension, and I have it in my downloads. Open. Okay. This is an extension. Perfect. So it worked. Let me just save as my work. Do the same. Go to File, Save As, and I'm going to call it Dashboard for Extensions. Save. This part you can save your workbook. You can pick any name you want. It's not important. Just remember it. So, okay. You can close it. We don't want the editing mode anymore. And we call it Dashboard for Extension. So let's find it in my Tableau Online on my site. It's okay. So that's the prompt that the users that we authorize when we save list the extension. So we want the user to be notified that an extension is running and say, are you allowing this extension? Yes. So press OK to allow the extension to run in the dashboard. So say OK. So now we have our dashboard with an extension running. Let's see if we can edit this text. Go back to Glitched on the editing mode and go to index.html on the left side. Here you can see in the body you have this is an extension. Let's edit it. The extension API is awesome. And let's go back to our dashboard. Reload the page. Okay. Perfect. It worked. Our extension, our manifest is pointing to the right project. Perfect. Now let's start the fun part. Let's start coding. English. So go back to editing mode. And here we need to add a reference to the Tableau Extension API library. I'm going to add it. You have to add it in the head. So here we are calling, we have our extension API library reference between these two tags heads. If you want to copy paste it, you can from the README. Once you have done that, we need to modify the script.js, the JavaScript. We want to initialize the extension and say, hi, I'm an extension and I'm ready to be used. So let's initialize this extension. So it should be tableau.extension.initialize async. And once the extension is initialized, we should see in the console, I've been initialized. Okay. So let's see that in action. Let's reload the page again. Okay. And if you are in Windows, you can just press F12 to show the console, or you can do right click and do inspect. And there on the right, you can see you have console. So you can click on console to see the logs. If you are on Mac, you can find the instruction. If it's not F12, but you can find the instruction, see the instruction on the screen. If you are a Mac user. So we see what? We have an error message. Tableau extension, the Tableau.extension initialize async is not a function. Oh, yeah, right. We know it is no age at async. So let's go back to our glitch editing and let's delete this age. So it should be initialized async, no age. And let's see if we reload the page again. Okay. Yeah, it worked. I've been initialized. Perfect. We initialize our extension. Let me remind you here our final goal. We want to set the date range filter to lower bound of 1 year ago and an upper bound of today. Before going further, I encourage yourself to pause this video and familiarize yourself with the extension API reference. You can find the link in the description, but here we know that we want to filter the data on the worksheet, on our worksheet. We are going to use a filter setting function that is from the worksheet object. In this video, we are going to use apply range filter async function to change the filter. We can see from the documentation that the function is taking two parameters, the field name first, the name of the field to filter on, and the filter options that give you what you need is the object that takes the optional min and max and null option parameters. So we know what we need to provide this function. So we can go back to glitch on the editing mode, and now we know that we need to use apply range filter async, but this method is called on a worksheet. We need first to get the worksheet to call, but to get the worksheet, we need the dashboard before. So after initialize, we need to get access to the dashboard. Then we can get access to the worksheet. So let's do that. Let dashboard, so that our variable is tableau.extensions.dashboard content.dashboard. So we have our dashboard, and now let's get our worksheet. So we know, remember when I told you that it was important to keep the same name for the worksheet 1? It's because of this part of the exercise. So we have dashboard.worksheet, and we use the function find to find the worksheet with the name trends. Here, if you name the worksheet differently, the first one, feel free to edit it there. Once you have done that, we can create our first function. Something I need also to mention is on English, you have this error message. Tableau is not defined. It's not true. It's just because Glitch didn't find our extension API libraries, didn't run it. So it's not an error, but if you don't like having red when you are coding error messages, you can add variables, global Tableau. So you can add that to remove the red sign and the error message. So yeah, if it's red, doesn't mean that you did something wrong. There. Just for if it's red on the Tableau sign. So now let's create our function. Update filter range. And we want the worksheet and the field name. Once we have done that, remember we need to have the date of today and the date of today minus 1 year. So 1 year ago. So we have today. We have last year. Last year new date. We are using the function new date to have today, and there we are subtracted. We're doing -1 to get the year before. So 1 year before, we are subtracting 1 year to today to have last year. Once you have done that, what you need is to call the actual function. So we have a worksheet, remember, and we want to apply the function apply range filter async. So it's applying, and we want to on field name, and we want the min to be last year, and the max, of course, is today. So we have worksheet.apply range filter async. The field name mean should be last year, and today is the max. Perfect. Now we need to define the field name. So for that, let's go back and say, okay, that's our field name. We know already that from our data source that the field name is date. Perfect. And now we need to call this new function that we created. So we have the function is called update filter range, and we want first the selected worksheet, and after the field name. Perfect. Now, how your code should look like that, and let's see that in action. So let's go back to Tableau Online and reload the page. Here you can click on reload, or if you want to be sure that you're not hitting the cache, you can right click and the empty cache and hard reload. Let's do that. Okay. Ta-da! You updated the date range printer. Perfect. And congratulations, you created your first or an extension. Maybe your first one. Now that you have your extension working, that's awesome. But can you do more? Can you maybe share this extension to your colleague? Just extensions, or can you update it? Add a user interface, let the user select the date range directly from the extension, work on the design to make it more beautiful, or just answering to your design requirement that you have inside of your company. You can do so much more. Thank you for listening. I hope it was useful. And if you want more training videos or developer tutorials or content, I invite you to join our developer program. You can join in by going to this URL, tableau.com/developers. I hope I will see you soon, and thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.